This week's Parshat Vayigash is the culmination of the story of Genesis. We started with the beginning all the way in Bereshit, God creating a world, bringing humanity together, mankind striving to achieve some level of perfection, failure with Adam. We skip a whole bunch of generations. We go to Noah, society fails again. We fast forward a little bit. God is frustrated with the world, and he is ready to destroy a smaller part of the world in Sodom. And Abraham steps up onto the scene, and he convinces God to step down from his justice that required the city of Sodom to be completely annihilated. And he ends up becoming the father of a new nation with a new mission to inspire the world to take on this mission and find godliness in humanity, bring God into mankind. And he does this. He has a son named Isaac, and Isaac has Jacob, and Jacob has his 12 children. And this unfortunate story continues with these 12 brothers ganging up on one of them, Joseph, who was so beloved by their father. And it's a horrible story of Joseph being sold into slavery. And he spends close to 12 years in the most horrific conditions, moving from jail cell to jail cell. I mean, horrible, horrible conditions. And in this week's parasha, finally Yosef has spent the last 10 years enjoying the bounty of and fame of being the second most powerful man in the world. And he finally catches up with his brothers, and he's in a position of power to turn his vision, his dreams, into a reality. So what does he do? He sets up the brothers through several different tasks, and they end up having to bring up Benjamin, his youngest brother, up down to Egypt. Benjamin is there, and Joseph secretly sneaks a goblet into his bag, using this as a opportunity of accusing Benjamin for being a thief and wanting to recreate a scenario to see if the brothers would now stand up beside their young brother. What would they do? So pause for a moment. Well, let's ask the following question. This is an important question. Out of all the brothers, why would Joseph do this to Benjamin, to Benjamin? I mean, he wasn't there. He wasn't around when the sale happened. He wasn't involved with the sale. Why would we go ahead and put Benjamin through that test of having to deal with the brothers now deciding whether or not they're going to stand up for him? Why would Benjamin go through that? And then let's ask another question as we're going through it. Another question is, when Joseph finally realizes that when Judah steps up and starts taking responsibility for what has happened, and he's ready to fight and wage war against Joseph and Egypt, says he couldn't tolerate what was happening anymore. And he asks all of the Egyptians in the room to leave. And he says, Ani Yosef, I am your brother Yosef. It's me. I'm here. So every time I say those words, I get the chill. Ani Yosef. I was just like, oh, you think of it all coming together. It's this chilling moment, right? And the Chachamim ask a question. They say, well, if the brothers were ready to kill Yosef before, right? And now he excuses all of his guards, wasn't it foolish to take a position where you were no guards, no protection? You have these 10 guys who, from his perspective, he really didn't know if they were going to come to finish the job. He was putting himself at risk. What was he thinking? What are you doing? You're a smart guy. And then one last question we have to ask this week, which I think is important, is he says, Ani Yosef ha'od avichai. What does that mean, ha'od avichai? Is our father, is my father, it's not ours, is my father still alive? It's not Avinu, it's Avi. Is my dad still alive? What does that mean, Avi? First of all, we know that the father is alive because they went through this painstaking process of bringing Binyamin down to Mitzrayim, right? The whole time Yehuda is constantly saying that, hey, my father is an old guy. We got to bring him back down. We can't leave him out here. We got to bring him down. We got to bring him back home. And now he's asking, is my father, like, what does that even mean? What's he asking? Let's try to put these ideas and these questions into the proper context. Um, well, number one is that Benjamin, remember, Benjamin's, hi.
You want the answer? Did you ask a question?
Yeah, you want to give me an answer, Pachava, please?
Benjamin knew nothing about the sale, and Benjamin is his full brother.
Right. That's right.
That was the first
So
one.
that's true. But why? The question is, why would he want to put Benjamin through that embarrassing moment of being singled out as the thief? And now let me make the question even stronger, Jen, before you answer it. Ready? The question is like this. Remember, Rachel was punished for what? For stealing the trafim of her father. So it makes it look even worse now, right? Because Benjamin is the guy whose mother is a thief. So, oh, your mom's a thief and you're a thief, and Joseph, you're also a thief. Why was he doing that? Like, you're highlighting it.
He wanted to see if Benjamin remembered anything of that, knew anything of that.
Okay, that can be an answer. That can be an answer, but I think that the answer is more than that. Let's hear what Jen has to say. Go ahead, Jen.
I think maybe I heard it initially different than what it is, but my initial thought was to see how the brothers reacted to Benjamin being singled out.
Simple answer is exactly that. Pashu Pshat is like you were both saying, is that we're going to single out Benjamin, and we're going to see how how the brothers are going to react to standing up and fighting up for Benjamin. So that's simple Pashu Pshat, no question about it. I think there's something more than that over here. I think that this was an opportunity for Benjamin to step up also, and he doesn't. Right? This is an opportunity for Benjamin to kind of like stand up and defend his honor, his family's honor, fighting for his mom. And he doesn't, he remains silent. He remains silent. It wasn't just a test for the brothers. It was also a test for Benjamin. Benjamin remained silent, and that was his way of saying, you know what? I'm not even getting into this mess because this family affairs. I'm the youngest one here. There was some history there, but I'm not getting involved. But you're right. Simple answer is that Joseph was testing to see how far the brothers would go to defend their little brother. Moving on. Why would Joseph release the guards and put himself in danger? Izzy, you want to answer the question?
I think he was a positive person at the end of the day. He believed in humanity and he believed in his father's teachings. So he thinks that everybody can come back and
good. So yeah, I would say the first answer is 100%, like Izzy's saying, is at the very least, he's positive. The guy spent 10 years in jail, 12 years in jail, and he comes out and he's got a positive outlook. He even tells the brothers in this week's Parsha, he says to them, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here being your messenger. That's super positive, right? But I think there's something more profound than that. I think that's an answer. I'm going to say something a little bit different. I think another answer here is that think about what the alternative would have been. He would have kept his guards in the room and he would have said, Ani Yosef. And all these Egyptians that were in the room would finally realize that everything that's happened over these months of back and forth was Joseph getting revenge on his brothers, right? Getting revenge on this low-life family that sold the brothers into slavery. What a busha. How embarrassing would that have been? So Yosef makes the following strategic move. He says, embarrassing someone is tantamount to killing them. I would rather take the risk of death by the hands of my brothers than exposing my brothers' treachery in front of Egypt and embarrassing them in public. How profound is that? How far do we have to go to be concerned about the emotions and feelings of other people? I got an email today that I have to do some kind of a harassment training. Everyone at the organization has to do it. We spend we go through this slideshow, what kind of harassment is there? These are examples, videos of it, and so on and so forth. We're trying to create a society that is more sensitive to people around us, but like the Torah has been doing this for thousands of years. There's the idea of embarrassing someone is tantamount to killing them. And when you embarrass someone, it says they're white, their face becomes white because the blood rushes out of their face. And that movement of blood is tantamount to drawing blood from that person. So Yosef says, I am going to expose myself. Now, why does he say Ha'od Avichai and not Avinu? listen to this idea. I mean, this idea is a hard idea for me, but it's personal. Izzy will understand it better, I think. Right? So he says, is my father alive? Is the guy that loved me, is the guy that cared for me, is the guy that raised me, is the guy that who gave me the special jacket, who went out of his way, is that guy, are those things there? Is that emotion? Is that relationship still there? Or when you told him that I died over this time, or whatever the lie was he consoled? Did he move on? Where is my standing with my father, who I so desperately miss and love? It wasn't just about our father. It was about his unique relationship to his father. Now let's take that into let's zoom out for a moment. Yosef has his brothers there, okay? And this whole time they think they're dealing with this unjust Egyptian, ruler who's just going out of their way to take revenge for no reason. Because once they got into Benjamin wasn't involved in the sale, like you all said. And therefore, from this whole time up until now, the brothers rationalized the hardships that they were going through because they were all involved in the sale of Joseph. And this was God's way of retribution. But once they crossed into getting to Benjamin was involved. It must be this guy is just an evil ruler. And therefore, Midrash says that Yehuda drew his sword. He ripped off his shirt. He was ready to go to war. There was going to be a war that was going to happen. They were going to burn down Egypt. So Joseph sees this whole entire thing unfolding. He's like, oh my God, we have Shimon and Levi loose. They wiped out, Shechem. And you have Yehuda, who's more powerful than both of them. I got a crisis right now in front of me. Midrash says that Ephraim comes out and he neutralizes Shimon right away. And the brothers were astounded that this Egyptian kid can neutralize one of the Shvatim. Yosef has become vulnerable to the point where he says, hey guys, listen, is my father still alive? Look what you guys did. Now, at that moment, when he says, Ani Yosef, how terrified were the brothers at that moment? It wasn't just some, nasty foreign ruler who was taking advantage of them. It was their own brother that they sold into slavery. Ani Yosef ha'od avichai, the Midrashim say that shock moment, that feeling of, oh my gosh, that all the pieces of the puzzle coming together, that one moment, those two words, Ani Yosef, that is the most terrifying experience we're all going to go through in our lives. When one day after Me'ah V'Esrim, after 120, when we live our lives and our bodies have been put underground and our souls are reborn into a spiritual realm, at that moment, we all go through our own personal Ani Yosef experiences. There's no more doubt about whether or not this world is a world of materialism or a world of spirituality. There's no more doubt, are you a mind or are you a soul? There's no more doubt, is there a God, is there no God? There's no more doubt, do the mitzvot matter? There's no more doubt, do the brachot matter? There's no more doubt, did the charity I give matter? There's no more doubt, it's gone. That moment of clarity is terrifying. It's terrifying. And the brothers are transformed at that moment. The Midrash says that if Yosef would have pushed a little bit more, had he held on a little bit longer, the brothers would have died at that moment. That's how profound and how powerful that moment was for them. But he pulled back. He pulled it back. He pulled it back. He didn't want them to go through that. He couldn't do it to them. How much forgiveness did this guy have? Where did that come from? Where did that midah come from? The ability to forgive, the ability to go ahead and, let bygones be bygones with people that just were ready to get rid of him so quickly. We're threatening to kill him and sold him as okay, well, you don't want to blood on our hands. We'll just sell him as a slave to these Arab, wagon drivers who are going down to Egypt. But he forgives them. You see, the one thing that is the sweetest revenge in the world is not taking revenge. It's allowing the people around you to wonder if revenge is ever going to happen. That was the card that Yosef played. I'm not taking revenge. I don't need to take revenge. You know why? I believe in God. I believe in justice. I believe that everything that happens in this world, there is a din v'dayan, there is justice in the world, there's a judge, there's justice, and I'm not going to be the one to do it. You guys want to draw your swords, b'chavo, do it. For me, I leave everything up to Hashem. I'm not playing that game. I need Yosef. Ha'od avi chai. What are you guys doing? What game are you playing? It all comes together. Now, when you think of this idea in the context of the whole entire story of Genesis, this is it. The next few parshiot, we're leaving the families behind, and we end up in Egypt as a nation, and we're enslaved very quickly, very quickly. This is the precursor to all of that. We know that this whole thing starts with Abraham. What does Abraham do? What's his mistake? What's his sin? The Torah tells us. It says that Abraham says, "B'ma eda." How will I know, God, that you're going to keep your words? How do I know you're going to keep your words? There's a level of doubt in Abraham, an uncertainty. How can I trust you? How do I know? So God says, you know what? Because of your lack of faith, because of your lack of trust, your descendants are going to be a stranger in a strange land. And I want you to know, it's been 3,600 years later. And if you're on this call right now, you're a stranger in a strange land. You know, we're strangers in a strange land. And it's very strange right now, all the lands. So Abraham lacked faith. Think about this moment as a tikkun for that. There was no more doubt in the brothers. There was no more uncertainty in their minds about what was promised to Abraham. It all made sense. It wasn't just that Joseph ended up in Mitzrayim. They knew that Abraham was going to have descendants down in a strange land, and they saw the whole thing unfold before their eyes. Can you imagine a prophecy and watching it unfold? Now, hold that emotion for one moment. I want you to think of it like this. Ready? There are 16 prophecies that are mentioned in the Torah. 13 came true. What are the last 3 that are left? Okay, we'll go through, we can go through them. That we're going to be sent down to Egypt, we're going to be redeemed, we're going to come out, we're going to end up building a temple, the temple will be destroyed, we'll be sent into Galut, we will come back again, build another temple, all those prophecies, there's 3 left. Number 1, that at the end of times, the Jewish people will be scattered to the 4 corners of the earth. And they're going to come back to the land of Israel. It's called Kibbutz Galuyot. We are living through that time right now. We're seeing it happen. It's a miracle. There's no reason why there should be Jews living today, flocking back to the land of Israel, but it's happening. This year, the Aliyah rates have gone up by like 3,000%. Baruch Hashem. Okay. Number 2 is that we believe we are going to have a 3rd temple. Okay. A precursor to the Beit HaMikdash is Shalom, peace. Do you realize that we are watching every single day another country making peace with Israel? You think that's an accident? My friends, it's all unfolding right now before us. And if those 2 are happening, we're seeing it. This is our Ani Yosef moment. Are we seeing it? That means the last of the 3 are going to come true as well, which is the resurrection of the dead. And I believe it's going to happen sooner than you think. And everything that we're going through right now is an opportunity for us to build ourselves up in preparation for it, for that big moment, the holy cow, Ani Yosef moment. It's going to happen. And B'ezrat Hashem, we are going to see it together. I hope that you all go through the Parsha again, read it slowly, think of the ideas and the content, the bigger picture, not just the small story. Don't just double click, don't just zoom in on the story here, but think of it in the context of the whole entire book. This is the story that tells us that at the end, everything will make sense. And Yosef is the most perfect character to bring that idea to fruition, because he represents the guy that never gave up faith. He represents the guy that in the worst of circumstances, I mean, I can't imagine being locked up in an Egyptian cell for 1 year, let alone 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 years. And to have that level of faith and certainty that it will all make sense because there is no bad. It's just my perception of the world, that everything that happens is Latov. That's why there's no room for revenge in the world. If there's only good, how could you want to take revenge? Everything happens for a reason. May we be blessed with this level of clarity, that we together recognize that this time is our unique time to grow as individuals, to develop a deeper sense of faith, a deeper sense of commitment to what we believe in, to recognize that Torah is not just a book of legends. It's a story of our people. It's a story of a promise that was made to our ancestors. And you and I represented the descendants of these people. That wasn't just some guy named Joseph. That wasn't just Benjamin and Judah and Simon and Levi. Those are my great uncles or grandfathers. That's my family. And we have a tradition that things are going to change in the world, and we're seeing it unfold because there's a bigger play happening right now. We're all part of it somehow. I don't know how yet, but we're going to wait for that moment. It's all going to make sense. Maybe we should be blessed with happiness, simcha, bracha, 2020. Goodbye. Next Friday, it'll be already January 1st. We'll be in 2021. It should be the beginning of only brachot and yeshuot, seeing great things from each other. Thank you so much for listening. Shabbat shalom, mevarach, everybody.
Thank you, Rabbi. Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.